Good morning, Predicted Trades family. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's dig right in here. Today on the economic calendar, we have non-farm payroll and unemployment rate and hourly earnings. We got a lot coming out at 8:30. So we'll see here in a few minutes how that impacts things and how they start to react. I do want to visit some 4-hour charts with you folks. Which can get a little busy with our Keltners. Let me get rid of our Keltners. Where are you? There you are. So the reason I want to pull these up, you'll notice on our last, after our big sell-off that started the year, we came up and we started this trend line, which we ultimately could not get through. And our last pop-up a couple weeks ago started the next sell-off, and now we have been in this run coming up. We are approaching those trend lines from highs as we get closer and closer to this daily 50. So daily 50 sitting up almost at our last zone. The last zone that we got to and rejected. So as we arrive at that zone, the daily 50 will also be testing trend lines from the highs of this year. That is obviously, if we continue this rally, to come up and test these recent highs, this zone, daily 50, and trend lines. That could be a great point for the next short in the market. We could also fail before we get there and start to roll back and take out trend lines from lows. Let's look over on NQ real quick. So I believe NQ might already be getting through a little bit. Close enough. So, if we take that trend line from way back in March on NQ, last time we saw the daily 200 and rejected. We couldn't get through it on the last pop. That brought us down and set new lows. Now, yesterday, we broke through it and are starting to take off. We're back at that 12,100, very key level. North of that, we can see a lot more upside. But we got to get through the daily 50. That is now pulling down into the range that we could actually test it today. And if we can get through that, it looks like we have a little daily squeeze starting to form at 12,500. So in a way, we've started to break through, but we have some key levels and recent highs that we could still reject daily 50 and send us back through these trend lines. That's why I left them up, because if we can't get through and we fall back and start taking them out, we're going to fall back through our moving averages for another sell-off. So NQ already kind of starting to lead the way through trend line. Let's see if ES can do the same. Ready is not quite there. Looks like it's going to be knocking at the door. NYM kind of the same. YM definitely still lagging and has to push off this 21, get up to 31,800, where that daily 50 is slowly catching up to. All right, we'll move back down to our normal time frames that we prep in, take a look at what we have in store for today. Dealing with a small gap down. Looks like NFP just started to hit and they're bringing it down. We can drop down real quick to a 1 minute. Just to see that that is reaction to that economic data that just came out, right? Pushing us right down to squeeze bottom to catch a bounce. And already working its way back. Let's see if it continues to push down into squeeze bottom, like that, into open. But ultimately, we are back in a 30-minute and 1 hour squeeze on ES. The bottom of which is back at that daily 21 at 38.73. The top of which is at yesterday's highs. So let's see if 38.80, 38.73 can hold us up, send us back up through 3900. With a goal of trying to get to the zone above and the daily 50. Should we start to give out 38.80, 38.72, we can fall quickly back to our next zone where the daily 8 is aligning with 38.55. If this zone gives out, it's back to POC, which is at 38.28. So we'll have to see if NFP was enough of a catalyst to get them to start selling things off and engulfing this rally that we've had, or if we catch a bounce and complete the journey up to our next zone above. On NQ, we've kind of covered, but in the same 30-minute, 1 hour squeeze. And it looks like we're already starting to maybe slip out of that squeeze bottom. Losing 12,000 will likely fall quickly back to the daily 21 and daily 8, making a zone below. Hopefully she slows down a little if we are going to have a down day. But if this squeeze fires to the downside, if we lose 12,000, back to the 21 and 8, potentially down to the daily 15. If we can hold 12,000 and squeeze bottom, back through 12,100, it's up to the daily 50. for a test. And we do have that daily squeeze starting to form up around 12,500. Might be just a hair out of reach today, given the ATR. Ready. The ready's still in its squeeze. It has a daily 21 just below in case it starts to slip below that squeeze. Could bounce at the daily 21 and continue to the upside. And the daily 50 easily within reach today on the ready. YM. We have fired the 4 hour to the upside. We still have a 30-minute and 1 hour that we're stuck in, and we're right at the daily 21. So as long as that can hold on ready, the goal is to get back up to 31,800, which is within the ATR, and the daily 50, making a nice zone right at that 800 to 900 range. Right back at that recent high. So if we get continuation, YM should get up to test this zone. If we start to give out and fail these moving averages, we're going to probably cascade back down through them to find buyers. Apple. Right now, Apple, all about the daily 50 and that 144, needs to hold that zone, basically 145, 144 and a half. We start to lose that, we can go back and engulf yesterday, back to 142. 142 has been a key level of resistance and support. And our daily moving averages should be stepping up right around that 142, 141. So if 144 gives out today, straight back to 142, 141. If 144 can hold, it's a mission to get through 147 and a half. And 149 to get to 150. AMD. And yeah, Bob, I see you say market tanking, but we're still only down 12 points. If we start to give out those squeeze bottoms, then we can definitely start talking. AMD finally woke up yesterday, had a nice rally. Back above daily 8. Let's see if it can hold it to push the daily 15. And the daily 21 up at 84. If we can't hold the daily 8, likely right back to 75. Amazon struggled to get through 115, then finally burst through and ran for the rest of the day. Right back at 115, pre-market. Daily 50. It's likely about to step right to 115. So let's see if it can hold there to try to get back through yesterday's high in a bid to get back to this 118. If it can't and gives out 115, it could slip quickly back to the daily 8 and 21 at 112. Through that, daily 15 will be about 110. BA, we've talked about all week. It just needs to hold these moving averages and not head lower. It's done a good job of that. So let's see if this fade can stay above those moving averages. If it starts to slip below to the bottom of the squeeze, the market is likely rolling over. Cat, I think it got an upgrade yesterday and was moving nice pre-market and then just came back and chilled. But it's back at that daily 8. Let's see if Cat can push off of the daily 8 to get back through these moving averages to 193. Google. We talked about leading into this week, only 2 weeks left until they're split. Hit a key zone and pretty much just been running every single day on Google. starting to arrive at daily and 2-day squeeze tops and this big key 2400. Let's see if Google can continue up to 2400, 2450 up in the squeeze tops, or if market's going to bring it back for them to do it all again next week. We could see Google slip back to 2300, maybe these moving averages. If the market sells today, we could see Google bounce there next week and head right back up to these squeeze tops. We could also just see it continue up to carry the market like it has been. GS started to get some love yesterday and back above daily moving averages. Pre-market already trying to push into squeeze tops, so let's see if it wants to get all the way up to that 305. Even with market gapping down, GS is gapping up a little bit. We have bank earnings next week, although GS is 2 weeks out, I believe. Yeah, so we could see a little rally in finance. JP Morgan announces next week, and you can see they're already rotating in pre-market, another gap up on finance while the rest of the market is gapping down. So sometimes you just got to follow the money and the relative strength. Looks like they're trying to rotate into finance for their earnings next week. There might be some rotation out of tech to do that. Meta running up with Google. If Google starts to take a break and market rolls back, Meta could fall quicker and faster back through moving averages. If it can hold, squeeze bottom and this 170 where the daily 21 is at, she can keep going higher. You can see she kind of stalled out back at this recent high. So if we can get through that, we can get up to 175. And the daily 50 is still pretty far up there. Microsoft. Above the daily 50. Let's see if it can hold today. 265, 264 and a half. To send us up through 270, recent highs. If we start to lose 265, 264, we could fall back to the daily 21, 260. Netflix. Saw some rotation yesterday. Looks like they're already bringing it back. Likely to daily moving averages like the daily 50. If it can hold there, can keep trucking higher, permission 200. If it starts to give out 185, falling back to the mean, and the daily 15's at 180. NVIDIA. Overall, yesterday broke out of that down wedge. Relative strength, though, it's still way below the 21 and 15, so definitely not dying. To hit this one, and MU earnings did not help in the upside thesis for chips, so kind of taking a break on them. QQQ. Up in this little 30-minute, 1-hour squeeze. Little computer freeze. Come on. All right, QQQ starting to slip out of that 30-minute squeeze, losing trend line. Just double check that trend line. Come on, toss them so close to the end. Don't do this. Here we go. And that's why we go double check trend lines. That's from back here. Not really in play. You could draw another trend line real quick in here, but it will be kind of shallow and around 280. So on NQ, starting to slip 30-minute squeeze already, starting to engulf yesterday, back at 292. Let's see if this trend line can cause a bounce at around 291, 292. If that can hold, could send us back to 295. If that starts to give out, we'll likely slip right down to the daily 21, daily 8. And if things really want to get spicy today, what did we close at? 94. Yeah, if things really want to get spicy today, it could get down to the daily 15. But it could just slip back to daily moving averages for them to load up next week's calls for continuation next week rather than today. Roku, like Netflix, up above daily moving averages, they're all stacked below. So if market starts to roll, heading right back to those and to recent lows around that 88. If it can hold moving averages, it's a mission to get back to 100. Snow. Slap that 2-day squeeze top. And couldn't even get back through that high. So if market starts to roll, Snow might be in a good position to play it back to these daily moving averages. If it can hold 152 in this range, could try to keep pushing higher and fire in this 2-day squeeze to the upside. Daily 200 still way above, north of 220. SPX. SPX, got going to the upside, but really struggled at 3,900 and 39.10. Going to be gapping down. Now it's starting to heat up to the downside. Let's go check in again on ES. So ES already back to the 21. And just at the bottom of its squeeze. So let's see if that can hold, if there's a cover pop to fill this gap, which could lead to continuation, or if the cover pop can't really fill the gap or get going, and we do lose this trend line in the 21, back to this zone, and likely back to POC, which is at 38.28. SPX now going to be gapping down about 30 points. Whoops, that's SPY. So already going to be back at the daily 21. Let's see if it can hold. And if we go to the 15, we're back at 3,800. SPY. SPY close to already engulfing yesterday. So let's be ready for that downside. Going to be watching the 385s, 383s, 380s. But if we can hold daily 21, which will be around this 386, or daily 8 around that 383. We could try to come back and fill the gap, but starting to look like NFP was all they needed to start taking us back lower. But, you know, guys, it's a Friday. You know, I know we see this and we're like, oh, okay, time to just short everything back to the ground. This could just be a small, controlled pullback to the mean, or the daily 8. Recent lows, yesterday's pre-market low. Could just be a slight pullback for them to start loading next week's calls for continuation. So going to be ready for both scenarios. If we give out, gonna be ready to short, but if we hold, gonna be watching for if they're loading next week's longs. Tesla. Key levels on Tesla. So clean in here. Yesterday Tesla opened, hit that daily 15 right near that 695. Took straight off super fast in the first 30 minutes right to our 718. Got up to about 735, 36 before it stalled. Now it's coming back to that 718. So depending on what market does, if we are going to roll over, Tesla's probably going to lose that 718 and come back to 695, 690. If it can hold 718 and the market tries to pop back up to fill gap, 718 to 744. The daily 50 has now come down inside of that 744, likely going to be around 740. Might even be close to yesterday's high. So let's see if we get our bounce to fill the gap for continuation or if we roll over. VIX going to be very important today for that rollover. If we are actually going to roll over, VIX is probably going to quickly get back up to 27 and this daily 8. Beyond that, the 21 and 28 key level. But if we get our cover pop to try to fill the gap, VIX will likely come back to test 26. And if it can take out yesterday's low, get back to 25, where VIX loves to turn around from. So hopefully you all found this helpful. Thank you for tuning in. We're on here every morning, usually around 8, 8:15. So definitely tune in every morning to get our prep. And if you're interested in joining Predicted Trades, there's a link in the description to join our private Discord. And you can actually sign up and even upgrade in the Discord with the links we provide. And we don't normally show it every day on prep, but every day we do provide key levels on pretty much everything. I'll give a quick little demonstration of how even on VIX we provide our beast system, which gives you kind of a center point on where the day starts, support below, resistance above. We can go take a quick look at ES yesterday to see that it opened, kept holding open of the overnight session. During the cash session, it took off from our purple line straight up to our outer shaded region. We can take a look at, what's another one? Google. Google yesterday opened. Didn't even have to get to our support buy zone. When it took back off over open, that's when folks went long, straight up to our outer shaded region, where it got outside for a second before kind of coming back and settling at the top of it. Apple. You can see on Apple, we opened straight up to our outer shaded region, took a break to come back, then pressed further. And if we look at, say, some of the calls, Apple, 5. These tools even work on options. Ooh, this should not be here. So you can see on Apple Wednesday, it came back to its open level after hitting our resistance a couple of times and then took off to our outer shaded regions. Yesterday, open went straight up, came back to our top burger to just keep on going to our outer shaded regions. So basically every day we output tools that put levels, actionable levels, on your charts to make the trading day much easier. So definitely come check us out. Come check out our awesome technology, because you can't find it anywhere else than Predicted Trades. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck today, and we'll see you guys in the room.